The first place that we need to start when we are doing our SketchUp drawing is we've got to find all the tutorial videos. You can find that in two places. One, you can go to the daily schedule and you can find what is assigned to you for that day. But an easier place to go is this SketchUp icon on our home page. Once I click here, you're going to see that there are several videos, and the number of videos is going to change because we are going to be adding and taking away depending on what your term needs. And so the first thing that we have to do is we have to log into the SketchUp app. This is nothing that you download. This is all something that is cloud-based. So I'm going to click into my SketchUp app, and I am going to say Start Modeling. Now it depends if this is the first time you've done it. If it's not the first time, it'll probably just log in right away. But this is the first time I'm logging in, and I want to sign in with Google. When I sign in with Google, it's going to ask me to pick my account, and I'm going to pick my school account. You may have to install something. You may have to enter a password. I think it's just going to take mine because I've done this before. This is looking brand new as well. I was using this just yesterday, and it didn't look like this. So there's going to probably be some new things that we're going to have to encounter here. These are all old drawings that I have done. You may not have any drawings on here because you likely haven't used SketchUp before. So what you're going to want to do is come up here and hit Create New. I'm going to do Simple Template Feet and Inches. So when I click on Simple Template Feet and Inches, it's going to open up. And there's going to be a person here. I highly recommend you keep that person. That person really gives us a good reference to scale. I've had students before draw cabinets that were 300 feet tall and 200 feet wide, and they look like they're right. But when we go to try to cut them out, it doesn't work because the scale is so far off. So leave that person for now. If it really bothers you, you can get rid of it, but it does help give us some reference. The other thing you're going to want, and a lot of people will watch this video on their iPad so that they can have their computer available to draw and they're not switching back and forth at screens. But however you decide to do it, you're going to want to have this also available because this gives us a lot of our dimensions. This has been updated for the term that would be second term of 2020 when we started the year hybrid, and then after Thanksgiving we went full distance. So yours might look a little bit different than this, and that's okay. But this is what we're doing for term 2 of 2020. You'll notice that we have taken the door and the drawer off of it. We're just going to have an adjustable shelf. We really don't know when we're coming back to school, and so this is designed with the intention that you can put this all together at home if you need to. So we're going to need some of these dimensions. You guys have done this face frame sketch before. This cut list right here for the case is going to be really key. So you're going to want to have that handy. Let's go back to SketchUp. Also SketchUp, I'm sorry, is right there. And if you've used SketchUp in Mr. Zachman's architecture class or with Mr. Waite before, it will look a little bit different on the app. However, there are some really significant advantages, like you can use it anywhere and it automatically updates. So my suggestion is to use the app. If you're more comfortable with the desktop version and you want to figure out how to download that, that's fine too. I think all things considered, I like the desktop version a little bit better, but I'm doing all of my demos out of the app because it's going to make life a whole lot easier for us. So I want to first show you how to draw a rectangle because this can be frustrating for students. So just watch this part. Don't try to draw it yet. When I click over a button, I usually get 5 or 6 more options that pop up underneath of it. The top button is the one that we use most often, and a rectangle is something that we're really commonly going to do. Make sure that you have your screen maximized up here so you can see this dimension box. And I'm going to click on rectangle. All I'm going to do, and I know you can't see my fingers, but I'll talk you through what I'm doing. All I'm going to do is click one time to start drawing the rectangle, and then I'll click again to complete the rectangle. So I click once to start it, and I click again to stop it. Now if we look at the dimensions down there in the bottom right corner, we can see that we're 3 foot 7 7/16 by 3 foot 10 inches. That's not likely the size that you want. So if you want to edit that size, the very next step after you let go of the click has to be typing in our new dimensions. So if I want it to be 12 inches by 12 inches, I have to type now 12 inches. Notice I accidentally put feet there. 12 inches, comma, 12 inches. And then I hit enter, it will go to that size. I get students trying to do all sorts of different things to try to change the size of rectangles. I'll get students trying to click down here, and it never, ever, ever works. So make sure you click once to start it, click again to stop it, and then you enter your sizes right away. One thing I do not like about the app is that it only allows us to go feet and inches, so you may have to do a little bit of that math in your head. Let's start drawing our cabinet that we are going to build. So we're going to start here. My mouse is being a little bit laggy, but we want to start drawing this. And we're going to cut all of these pieces out on SketchUp. I think it'll work pretty well for us. So let's go to SketchUp. I keep going to the desktop version. Let's go to SketchUp, and I'm just going to draw an arrow around these to erase them. I just drew an arrow around it and click delete. So when we start drawing, we can draw this one of two ways. We can draw it completely together, or we can draw it in pieces. And I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm going to demonstrate to you how we can draw it all together. But if you want to draw it in pieces, that's fine. In fact, I'll probably just do both side by side so you can see both. I'm going to start with the side of my project. So I'm going to start drawing the side. I think the sides are the most complicated, and I'd like to get them knocked out with right away. So to do that, I'm going to start with a rectangle. And remember, I'm not super picky about what the size of this rectangle is. I clicked once to start the rectangle. I'm going to click again. Now enter these numbers exactly like I do. It's going to be 0.75 inches, comma, 11. Now that might look really small depending on where you're zoomed in or out at, but what this is going to be is the side of my project. So I need to zoom in. To zoom in, I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse. And if I scroll in, I can see it getting bigger. If you don't have a mouse, this is going to be a little bit more challenging, but you can use this zoom tool here, and you click with your left hand and you can scroll in and out, dragging your finger on the touchpad of your mouse. Now I got to use a different tool called push-pull. And what this tool does is it's going to extrude or pull out my side. So this is going to give the height to it. And I want mine to be 28 inches tall. So I can pull up at 28 inches, enter. Okay, so at 28 inches tall, I can't see the top of it. So I can use the scroll wheel on my mouse. And if you want to grab and pull somewhere, if you click and hold down the center button on the mouse, it'll pan or orbit. Another tool that you probably will really like is this hand right here. If I grab the hand, I can move the drawing wherever I would like to move the drawing. So I've got what looks like to be a rough side done. Now we're going to do all sorts of fun stuff to this side right now. It is going to need to get some dados, some rabbets, and some line bores. So let's do those here, and then we will end this video. So to do a side, I'm going to use a guideline. So a guideline is this tape measure button right here. And if you come to it and the tape measure is not there, you can just click and get to the tape measure. What the tape measure tool does is it allows us to put a line down that's not permanent. It's just for reference. So I know that if I'm looking at my project right here, the bottom shelf is going to slide into the side 3 inches from the bottom. So let's do that. I'm going to take my guideline and I'm going to click at the bottom of my project, and I'm going to just start moving up. And it doesn't matter where I put it. I'm going to now, as soon as I let go of the mouse, click 3 and hit enter. So now from here to here is 3 inches. And you may not know this, but the thickness of all of our case pieces is 3/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see better. Whoa. So I was using the touchpad, and I put my fingers on the corners of the touchpad, and when I did that, all of my tools disappeared. So if you accidentally zoom in with the touchpad, you're going to lose your tools on the outside. So if you're working and all of a sudden your tools are gone, go ahead and put your fingers on the corner of your touchpad and push your fingers towards the center of the touchpad, and those tools will show back up. So I'm going to use the scroll on my mouse, and I'm going to pop this down. Again, it doesn't matter exactly where I go because now I'm going to type in 0.75. That is a 3/4 inch. So there's 3/4 of an inch from here to here. There's 3 inches from here to here. So if I go back to my project, I'm drawing the dado for this bottom shelf. We know this bottom rail is 3 inches tall. So I'm going to come back here. Now I'm going to take the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle right on top of this. So the guideline can go away. If I don't like the guidelines, I can grab the eraser tool here and erase that. It really is not hurting anything to leave it there. But I am going to now push out that dado. So I'm going to grab the push-pull tool. I'm going to hover over the dado until it's shaded. I'm just going to push in, and I'm going to type 0.25. All of the dados for almost any project we do is going to be 1/4 of an inch thick. And you can imagine that. The bottom shelf's going to go right here and slide into that dado. The next step that I'm going to do is to put a rabbet in the top. So this is harder to see from my drawing here, but way up top here there's a rabbet. And we'll show you, I can even show you on this done one that I drew up earlier. You can see this dado right here. This is going to allow me to put my stringers in there. So let me pull this apart so you can see it. And I'll grab the side. Oops. Grab the side and pull it out. So I've got to put this dado up, this rabbet up here. That's what catches these stringers and allows me to connect the whole project together. So let's go back here. That rabbet is 3/4 of an inch thick. You can also tell this if you look at the side layout. This tells you all the dimensions of the side of your project. This is in your nightstand packet. So now I'm going to draw the rectangle over this. I'm going to push this in, 0.25. You'll see that I accidentally pushed it too far. I accidentally got rid of it. But when I typed in the 0.25, it came back. And if this guideline bothers you like they tend to bother me, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Now my next step is to draw this rabbet. So I'll pull up this finished one again. This rabbet right here, let's go all the way around. This rabbet is what allows the back of my project to nest inside of my side so that from the side I don't see it. So this rabbet right here, if I want to look at it on my nightstand packet, it's right here, this rabbet, and it's 3/8 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch. You can see I just drew the 2 1/4 and the 3, made that dado, did this top rabbet, that was 1/4 inch deep, 3/4 of an inch wide, and now I need to do this back rabbet, that's 3/8 by 3/8. So to do that, I'm going to get my tape measure again. I'm going to pull it towards me, and I'm going to type in 3/8. Now I did this a little bit goofy and out of order. Oh, I zoomed in the wrong way again. And I'm going to show you how to fix this. This is a perfect time to use the Control Z. So I should have drawn the rabbet first, because the way that I've got it drawn now, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to draw lots of extra lines. So I did 2 steps there that I want to undo. If I hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, it's eventually going to undo what I have drawn. And it's not that big a deal. It'll come back really quick. So I want to do this rabbet, 0.375, or I can type 3/8. Either way, it's going to work just fine. I'm going to zoom in so I get right on this guideline. and something looks amiss. When I drew that, that line should be right on top, and you can see I accidentally clicked with it right next to it. So I'm going to undo that, and I want to make sure that when I draw this, I'm just scrolling out with the scroll wheel on my mouse, that it should cover up completely, and it usually snaps right there, but for whatever reason it didn't. Okay, I'm going to grab my hands, and I'm just going to grab that push-pull tool. Now this back rabbet is 3/8 of an inch deep. So I just push 3/8 of an inch, and now you can see if I orbit by holding down the scroll wheel on my mouse, I've got my back rabbet there. So now I want to put in those dados, the dado and the rabbet that I got rid of because I did it the wrong order. So I go up 3 inches, and then I'm going to go down. You can see if I'm not being careful, I can pull this line straight out or straight down. And if you're not watching which axis you're pulling that line on, you're going to have problems. So I pull that down 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go back up to the top, grab the hand, and I'm going to come down 3/4 of an inch. I draw that line with the rectangle. Whoops, I didn't close my rectangle. Hit escape. I'm going to go back down here, draw my rectangle down here, and the same thing. I'm going to push this back 1/4 of an inch, come back up here, quarter of an inch, and then I will delete my guides. Maybe I'll get the guide there. If you have a guide that's being stubborn, if you draw a rectangle around it, you'll be able to select it. So I'm really close to being done with my side. There's one more step that I want to take. Let's orbit back here so we can see it a little better. You can also see that this is supposed to be about 30 inches high, and it comes up about to this lady's waist. So we are on track. You'll notice that the rabbet is deeper than the dados. That's completely normal. That's what we want to do. So the last step that we want to do for our side is to put the line bores in it. And if we look at our project here, we've got these line bores. And this is a special drill bit that we use on the CNC router that will allow us to have an adjustable shelf. So you'll get some of those shelf pins, they're called, and you'll be able to adjust the shelf that's in here wherever you would like to adjust it. So these are a little bit slow, but that's okay. We'll be fine here. To draw them, we're going to again start with our guide line, and we're going to put these in 1.5 inches from the edge. So I just click the edge and I pull in 1.5, and then we're not going to have a shelf that's right at the very bottom of our cabinet. So we're going to start our guidelines. We're going to start them 6 inches up. That's going to be where I have my first 2 line bores, and then we're going to put them 2 inches apart. So now I grab this, I go up, I type in 2, type in 2, type in 2, and we're just going to keep doing this all the way up. And you'll notice that eventually it starts kind of snapping to 2. You don't have to type 2 in every time. And you can go up as high as you want. I don't think you need to get any higher than that. You're probably not likely to have holes any higher than that. We are going to make those holes 1/4 inch in diameter. So to do that, I got to come over here. I got to find the circle tool that's underneath the rectangle. I'll click on circle, and then when you click, that'll snap there. You'll click and start drawing, and you can make the circle huge or not huge. And if I look down here at the bottom right corner, it says radius. So if I want this to be 1/4 inch in diameter, the radius, I'll click to draw it, is 0.125. So I'm going to draw in each of these places 0.125 all the way around. There are some automatic things that you can do in SketchUp that would make this faster, but it takes us, whoops, made that one too big. Takes a long time to do that, and I don't want to take the time. If you accidentally draw one of these the wrong size, you can hit Control Z and undo it. Almost there. This may feel like it takes a lot of time to do, but think about having to lay this all out with a pencil on a square and then having to drill all these. You'll be super happy when we're all done that you took the few minutes to do this. And we're not going to have to do this for the other side. We're just going to mirror it. Then we can go ahead and delete all the guides. Now, a quicker way to delete the guides is if you draw a rectangle around them. If I go from left to right, it only selects everything that's completely contained in there. But if I go from right to left, it selects everything that it touches, and I can hit delete. I don't want to delete that because it's going to delete the face of this. So you can also just click on them individually or come down here where there's nothing else and hit delete. So that is my side. What I want to do here is I want to hit the save button. I'm going to save it in the SketchUp folder, and I'd make a folder called Woods 1, and I'm going to call this COVID Nightstand. And I'm going to save that here. Now, when you come back to SketchUp on our next day's assignment, you are going to just open up COVID Nightstand, and this will be here, and you'll be able to open that up from any computer. That's why I really like this app. So in our next lesson, we are going to mirror the side, and we're going to put some more pieces into our cabinet. Have a great rest of your day.